Hello there, welcome to another episode of COVID-19 Update here in Chatham-Kent, where we talk to different municipal officials, individuals, and organizations that are doing some amazing things as we see a little dim light here at the end of this COVID tunnel, but all is still on the horizon there. And I thought we would get some of our city councillors who have been doing a bang-up job here. I'm happy to have Trevor Thompson here from Ward 2. Trevor, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
So you guys have been absolutely busy, but before we start, how are you and your family doing during this very interesting time in our community, province, and the whole world for that matter?
Yeah, things have kind of gotten down to normal, I think. If you had asked me back at the beginning, I would have said we were really struggling, trying to figure out the online learning, trying to cope with it. But we've made the adjustment. I think a lot of people have kind of made that switch over to the new normal. So it's going really well. It almost feels like summer vacation at this point, except the weather doesn't, but that's kind of what we're into now.
Yeah, I think May is always an interesting time. I always say right around May 2-4 weekend, then we start seeing what's really going on. And you guys had an awesome council session earlier just talking about, how we're going to get through this COVID funding. And another thing that didn't make the agenda, but it happened a session ago, was Erie Shore Drive. Lots of reports to say the least, but there are numbers to say what we need to do to get some help through this area. How are your thoughts on the results from that Zuzik presentation?
It depends on where we go with it. I think from a learning opportunity to get information in front of not only councillors, but residents and upper levels of government, I thought the report was fantastic, going back through the history of the erosion, not only on Erie Shore Drive, but Talbot Trail and Erie-O, is something you don't often see in a lot of reports. But this went back 150 years, talking about what's happened with the Barrier Beach and what's been going on in Erie-O. So from that standpoint, I was really, really impressed. I think sometimes people complain that either, it wasn't either in-depth enough or too in-depth, and there's always a balancing act there. Some people complaining that there was no engineering, but I understand that you have to limit the scope, and it was up 150 some odd pages already. But talking to residents, they were really appreciative of the amount of information that was in there. Each individual community got some options and some recognition. So really impressed with the report. I guess the question was this: where do we go now with it? And if it gets set on a shelf, I don't know that it was worth it.
Yeah, no. Right now, as far as I see, you've been doing such a lot of coverage in that area. There's a lot of erosion. Like every time you've been doing one of those Facebook Lives, I have to see. But, some people know about this area, and, somebody might be just hanging under a roof and not understanding. How important is this area in Chatham-Kent?
This area, I think, it's an important area, but I think what the takeaway is this is just the first community. This is a warning for all of the other communities that are near our Great Lakes. Mitchell's Bay, as well as is another one that has to do with the flooding. Rose Beach Line, Talbot Trail, Erie-O. But Erie Shore Drive is an important community in South Kent, and it's an important message to what is going to happen for a lot of communities up and down the Lake Erie specifically, but in Elgin, in Leamington. So the community is an important one. It's been there a very long time. I can see it right outside my front door. I think that's part of the reason that it's so important to me is these people are practically my neighbors. And I mean, when you run for council, you talk about, I want to make the hard decisions and I want to help lead, right? But normally you don't talk about people's lives. You argue over budgets and you argue over arenas, which are important, but to no extent are they as important as people's homes. This is an issue that is very close to me. Because of that, there's a lot riding on these decisions.
Absolutely. And now we have another cat in the bag, unfortunately, which COVID has magically shown up because all eyes were on Erie Shore Drive, and now we have COVID. And I just had an awesome conversation with Darren and Don about, how are we going to balance both Erie Shore Drive and now our COVID when it comes to budget time. How can we as a municipality figure this out one step at a time? What do we need to do?
So at this point, I think it goes back to when you asked how's the family. I think at the first couple of weeks, council, my phone had shut down. Nobody was interested in worrying about council things. It was all about the pandemic. But as it's continued on, the phone has picked back up. The emails have picked back up. People are adjusting to this new normal. So I think as the pandemic continues, we will get better at balancing carrying on the business of the municipality and dealing with that. So I think the question is it's going to come down to funding. And COVID, as you saw tonight, has thrown a monkey wrench into absolutely everybody's budgets, family budgets, business budgets, municipal budgets, provincial and federal as well. So I'm worried that Erie Shore Drive will hit the back burner when it comes to funding time. I think my hope is that in economic downturns of the past, upper levels of government have looked towards construction infrastructure as a way to kickstart economies. So I'm hoping to see something come out in the budget that addresses the infrastructure side, the construction to get the economy moving, and the mitigation side of dealing with this sort of issue up and down the shorelines. I'm hoping to see a flood or erosion mitigation program, and not just simply an infrastructure one, because people automatically think bridges and roads. But we need to see something from the flooding impact on all the Great Lakes.
Absolutely. I think all the presentations have had some really good engineering reports, and there's been a lot of work put into it. So we gotta do a shout out here because it's not all negative. There's lots of positives. Let's talk about some of the hard work that some of these groups have talked about to bring up this massive Erie Shore Drive conundrum.
I think this is something that other communities should look at, the work that the folks on Erie Shore Drive have done. They organized a property owners association. And that's important from a government side of things, because if I'm talking to one person who says one thing and then talking to a neighbor who says something else and then a neighbor who says something else, I don't know where to turn and I don't know what the way forward is. So you need to get a group together that doesn't have to have everybody, but the majority of people on side. We speak for the community, and we are going to work in their best interest. That gives us a contact. That gives us a point person. And then they can work as well with local councillors and local staff, too, because there's a lot of opportunity behind the scenes to meet, to discuss. Decisions come on Monday night, but all the legwork happens prior to that. So they've done a ton of great work down there, organizing the community, bringing their concerns together, and reaching out to our MP, our MPP as well. So without Tara Cadeau and the rest of them down there, we wouldn't be at the point we are at today. We'd still be stuck in 1998 arguing neighbor to neighbor over what exactly we're going to do. Now, you might not like the Drainage Act route, you might not like the petition idea, but right now, that's the best we've got going forward, and that's a lot of that hard work is courtesy of them. Yep.
Nope. As a community, we band together on every forefront, whether it's COVID and Erie Shore Drive. So that's how we get through everything through these hardships. So I gotta thank those teams, and thank you, Trevor, for what you're doing for your ward. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we wrap up here?
Just stay safe, everybody. I think as the summertime gets rolling and when the good weather shows up, we're going to have to make sure we keep practicing those social distancing rules and regulations as well. But again, try to enjoy yourself as much as you can when the summertime does come. And make sure you do help out in the community. It's great to see so many people reaching out on social media, holding little events. The May 16th Miracle is another fantastic example. But it doesn't have to be that big. It can be as small as making small donations or helping out a neighbor. So it's really nice to see the community come together. I noticed, shout out to the Home Run today. They opened up for the first time, and I stopped by for a meal. I don't normally, but you know what? I said, they've opened up. I've got to support a local business. So make sure you do that.
Yeah, well said. I hope after we get through all this end, and we have one big giant Chatham-Kent block party to celebrate our hardships that are now over.
I will see you there.
Thanks, good. Thanks, Trevor. Thanks for all you do.
No, thank you.